This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, the feedback floodgates have opened after the government makes its Three Waters scheme mandatory today. A South Dunedin Santa Parade stalwart is sad this year's Santa Parade has been cancelled. And a St Kilda woman has transformed her house into a spooky dwelling in time for Halloween. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi o te ahiahi nei, kia ora, I'm Simon Anderson. The government is pressing ahead with its controversial reform of water management despite widespread opposition. And it's not expected to be smooth sailing for the government, with Dunedin City councillors among those who have raised concerns about the plan.
There are many rivers to cross for the government's new mandated Three Waters scheme. It'll create 4 publicly owned entities to manage drinking water, wastewater and stormwater across Aotearoa. But local government minister Nanaia Mahuta has ditched the voluntary sign-up option for councils, drawing the ire of a former supporter.
It's extremely disappointing today to learn that our community has been denied the opportunity to participate in this conversation and be a part of this decision.
Ironically, Dunedin Mayor Aaron Hawkins is blaming staunch opposition to the Three Waters reforms for forcing the government's hand.
There have been elements both inside and outside of local government that have created a level of discourse that has been toxic and divisive. And on the back of that, it's hard to see how the government had very many other options open to it at this point.
Minister Mahuta says today's announcement reinforces the government's commitment to delivering clean drinking water and fixing and upgrading water-related infrastructure. Dunedin City Councillor Jim O'Malley will continue to fight the plan, which he sees as similar to the electricity reforms of the 90s.
When people are considering what they're looking at here, look back at that time where the same statements were made about inefficiencies and efficiencies to be gained with aggregation, and in the end we didn't get any of that to come through. So all I see is a risk for privatisation and probably no gain in the process.
And he's angry the government ignored feedback to the proposal, given nearly all councils oppose it. Minister Mahuta claims 43 of 67 councils don't even have enough revenue to pay for their standard services, let alone maintaining infrastructure. The reforms are estimated to cost taxpayers $185 billion over the next 30 years. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A car came off the road early this morning along Mount Cargill Road in Dunedin. Police were notified about the crash at around 7:15 this morning. The car ended up in a paddock. There was only one vehicle involved and one person was injured. St John says one ambulance and one rapid response vehicle attended the accident. The injured person was treated and transported to Dunedin Hospital in a serious condition. COVID has claimed another victim, Santa Claus. The jolly man himself won't make it through MIQ in time for this year's Santa Parade in Dunedin.
Santa and his friends won't be parading down Dunedin's main street this festive season.
And it brings the whole family together, and going through the main street and seeing the families and grandma sitting in their seat and the parents around them and the children, and getting so much joy out of seeing that Santa parade. And that's such a sorry part of it.
The team at South Dunedin's Rainbow Christian Preschool understand the organisers' decision, even though it'll be the first time they haven't taken part in 2 decades.
Started way back about 20 odd years ago, and there was 2 educational ladies out from the educational board, and we had a service in the church, and I had one side of a Noah's Ark, and they suggested to Wendy Ann, my daughter, this would be great in the Christmas procession.
As he's in his mid-80s, Warren Popper Ockwell understands it has to be safety first when dealing with COVID-19.
It's a shame, but It's nice to keep it away from this end of the country.
Santa Parade Trust Chairwoman Michelle Elwood says they're all very disappointed. Around 40,000 people watching last year's event. It's hoped other regional Christmas parades in Otago and Southland, including Waimaru, Gore and Invercargill, will still be able to go ahead. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The Dunedin City Council's had a setback in its plans to take over managing the city's bus services. Control of bus services has been a point of friction between Dunedin's two local councils, but calls from the DCC to take over managing the services have hit a roadblock. Chairman of the Otago Regional Council, Andrew Noon, says the ORC has no intention of considering a transfer, with plans to increase the budgets for the passenger transport. Dunedin Mayor Aaron Hawkins believes the community would be better served by a bus network governed locally rather than regionally, with better integration of services. A family home in South Dunedin has been overrun by huge spiders, but there's no cause for alarm. The scary arachnids are actually props for a Halloween event raising money for charity.
Welcome to Kirstine McClay Knopp's spooky home in the Dunedin suburb of St Kilda. Her family's been busy decorating their house with 8-legged creepy crawlies as part of this year's Halloween theme.
I think it was 3 years ago we did ancient Egypt, so we had mummies and things. And then last year we had Day of the Dead. I think 4 years ago we had Pumpkin Palace, so we had pumpkins everywhere. So this year we're gone with the spider theme.
For the last 3 Halloweens, she's opened her home to the public, this year getting some extra volunteers to help out creating all the props.
These little spiders here are all made out of rubbish sacks, and I actually got the idea of them from the kids making poi at school. So we made like the body like a poi, but then we made the head into another round shape and put pipe cleaner legs to make spider legs.
This Sunday's Halloween party will be open to the public as a special fundraiser, including a night market to raise funds towards sponsoring refugees for resettlement.
That's a community effort, so it's not Red Cross or another organisation like that. It's groups of individuals can get together and form a charity and sponsor a family, and you can actually choose which family, or you can have them chosen for you by UNHCR.
The Halloween night market, including food created by Syrian refugees now living here, is on this coming Sunday at 21 Royal Crescent. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, Ocho Chocolate plans another crowdfunding campaign, and Rangiora A&P is back in business but without any crowds to be found. Ka kite a konei.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
No mai anō, welcome back. Dunedin's Ocho Chocolate Company has confirmed plans for a second round of crowdfunding. The company revealed a financial loss for the year at last night's annual general meeting due to tough conditions. This is the third full year of trading for the company, but restrictions due to COVID-19 and the lack of international tourists contributed to a total loss for the financial year of $192,000. Staff cuts and other reductions in expenditure allowed the company to reduce costs, but sales through specialist retailers and the Dunedin factory store suffered a large decline, along with a 50% drop in income for factory tours.
Well, I think like a lot of companies, we're very much sensitive to the fact that the border is closed because we used to sell a lot to tourists, but we've pivoted, as you want to say, and we've reassessed our costs, and so we're in a pretty good place right now.
Ocho is launching a second crowdfunding campaign through Pledge Me for $500,000. The money would go towards new equipment for the factory, a big marketing push into Auckland, and developing a new smaller chocolate bar for cafes and checkout sales. 40 years on from Alan Brady's first attempts at growing grapes in Gibbston, other winemakers are regularly winning accolades overseas. One success story is Valley Wine, where local winemaker Jen Parr has now won 5 trophies for her Pinot wines.
Valley Wine in the Gibbston Valley near Queenstown is one of the many vineyards specialising in making Pinot Noir for customers across the world. Winemaker Jen Parr says the wine they produce reflects the region.
The soils are very fertile around us. If you go for a wander, you'll find sage, wild thyme, rosehip, rosemary. It's just a cornucopia of Garrigue spice, and you see that in the perfume in the wine.
Parr takes her hat off to wine pioneer Alan Brady, who now lives in nearby Cromwell and experimented with growing grapes in the region 40 years ago.
Grant Taylor, my dear friend and the owner of Valley, was the first to win a prestigious international trophy when he was working with Alan Brady at Gibbston Valley. And that helped not only put New Zealand and Central Otago on the international stage, but certainly this tiny little fertile valley of Gibbston.
It's a long way from her first job selling financial software for the US-born Kiwi, but her love for winemaking has borne fruit with 5 trophies now under her belt. She believes the wine produced here embodies everything a Pinot Noir should be.
All that Gibbston is textbook for that. So it's about fragrance, it's about perfume, it's about this sense of flow and just wonderful exuberance in the glass that's still quite restrained yet generous.
But rather than just talking about it, she agrees the best way to enjoy a Pinot is to experience the taste firsthand.
It's really hard to explain unless you actually pick it up and put it in a glass, but I think that resonates for everyone who really loves Pinot Noir.
In Gibbston, the South Today.
After being cancelled last year due to COVID-19 concerns, this year's A&P show in Rangiora did go ahead, but without the crowds. It was exhibitors only this time, with just 3 classes of livestock on show, but well over 100 alpacas.
A subdued atmosphere at this year's A&P show in Rangiora. COVID-19 restrictions meant the event was only open to a limited number of exhibitors and no general crowds. A&P shows have been held in Rangiora since 1866, and while last year's event had to be cancelled altogether, show president Graham Green says it's an important date on the local calendar.
Oh, it's a huge day for Rangiora. Yeah, we normally get about 5,500 to 6,000 people through the gates, so it's normally a big crowd, and hopefully next year they're all turning back up again and don't get used to having a Labour weekend away.
The day featured 24 beef cattle, with local school children invited to learn a few tips about cattle judging. While only 15 donkeys turned up this year, over 100 alpacas from across the South Island were paraded in front of the judges. Dunedin couple Richard and Wendy Farquhar claimed the Supreme Champion Award for their alpaca named Paru Nui Fife. But the lack of exhibits meant there wasn't much for this year's committee to do.
From a committee point of view, we didn't actually have to do much, mow the ground and lay out the ring, and then each section's done their own thing.
Green's hoping things will be back to normal next year.
Very keen to get a full show. I'm 2 years as president, so I'm hoping that next year I can get a show.
Separating groups into bubbles allowed for small lineups for fun events, such as gumboot throwing, helping keep the show tradition alive. In Rangiora, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, 660 plan to tour back to where it all began, and if a hole-in-one is lucky, what's two? We might just see after the break.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Hoki mai noa. Kiwi band 660 are preparing to embark on their biggest tour of the country this summer. The popular band, which originally formed in their student flat at 660 Castle Street, are planning an all-stadium national tour. They are due to perform at Dunedin's Forsyth Bar Stadium on the 12th of March next year. The band are currently in Los Angeles as part of their US tour and have MIQ spots booked to return to New Zealand. A Southlands man has achieved the most enviable of golfing feats. Ruben Prattley is celebrating after scoring a hole-in-one, but it's not the first time he's done it.
Improving on a tournament-winning shot, Matoda Golf Club member Ruben Prattley was delighted to hit a hole-in-one during a recent Twilight game. But the night match almost prevented him from seeing the ball drop in.
It was just getting dark enough that we only just seen it drop in, so we're pretty happy about it. But most of the guys in the Ambrose team I was playing with haven't seen a hole-in-one before, so they were very, very excited.
Catching this one was a good reward after missing out on seeing his winning hole-in-one earlier in the year at Waikaia Golf Club's Switzer tournament.
And that actually helped me to win the tournament that day, so I was pretty happy about it. I didn't see that one go in just because there was a wee mound in front of the green, but I seen this one, and yep, no, she was definitely a good one.
The 29-year-old former Southland cricket representative only started playing golf seriously 3 years ago. Prattley's now reduced his handicap to 2+, with time to aim for a potential three-peat by Christmas. In Gore, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. The government is forcing through its controversial reforms of water management, but opponents plan to continue the fight. The Jolly Red Man won't make it to Dunedin for this year's Santa Parade, with the popular event being cancelled. And a South Dunedin home's been overrun by giant spiders. They're props for a special Halloween event this weekend. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we welcome editor Barry Stewart. Kia ora, Barry.
Hello, Simon. Three Waters, yes. So we have a look at that as well. Of course, the government pushing it through. So a lot of opposition to that.
Yeah.
So we get reaction from all the mayors in the south to see what their take on it is. And continuing the water theme, hundreds of holders of historic permits to take water for farming and other activities and other activities around Otago are likely to be disappointed by the Environment Court, which has decided any new consents should not be issued for more than 6 years. So they were pushing for a bigger claim than that. So there's another group of upset people regarding water. Should we continue the water theme? I think we should. Moana Pool has updated their COVID-19 restrictions and have more than doubled the number of swimmers allowed in the lanes. So good news for recreational and competitive swimmers, I guess. So we also look at a teenage driver accused of killing two people and leaving 2 others critically injured, has been declined bail when he appeared in the Dunedin court today. We also have a look at the New Look health system as to how that will work. Our health reporter Mike Houlihan looks at that issue. So that's us.
Great, Barry. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Looking at the situation, there will be more afternoon showers and thunderstorms around the region tomorrow and Friday as an unstable northerly airflow remains light. It's wet at the top of the island in the northwest, rain for both Westport and Greymouth on 17 and 18 degrees. And in the northeast, rain too, Nelson and Blenheim both on 17 degrees. On the Canterbury coast, rain also reaches Kaikoura on 14, just cloud for the other 2 centres though, Christchurch on 14 as well, Ashburton on 18 degrees. Looking at what's in store for the southern towns, along the coast the Catlins can expect fresh northeasterlies with cloudy skies and a high of 16 degrees. Further inland, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore can expect light northerlies with a risk of showers and highs of 18. Travelling westwards to the Central Lakes, Wanaka, Queenstown and Alexandra are all in for light northerlies with a risk of thunderstorms and a high of 18 or 19 degrees. Te Ano's northerlies are more moderate with a risk of showers and a high of 17. Further north we see Timaru and Oamaru and for moderate northeasterlies with mostly cloudy skies and a high of 17 degrees. Lighter winds inland for Twizel and Omanama before afternoon thunderstorms and a high of 19. Looking at Dunedin, there'll be low cloud and mist tonight with an overnight low of 9. It'll be mostly cloudy tomorrow too before cloud lifts a little in the afternoon, northeasterly winds becoming fresh and breezy, a high of 16 and a low of 8. And it'll be mostly cloudy on Friday with a few light showers at times and light variable winds, a high of 16 and a low of 9. And to Invercargill. It's in for low cloud and mist tonight with an overnight low of 8 degrees. Expect changeable weather tomorrow and Friday afternoon with afternoon showers and thunderstorms likely. That's broken by dry and sunny spells, mild and humid with light northerly quarter winds. On Thursday, a high of 19 and a low of 8, and on Friday, a high of 20 and a low of 9 degrees. And that's the news this Wednesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and you can follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Like and subscribe to be notified of that southern news as it happens. Nō reira, kia pai te pō, ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.